Welcome back to another recap for this week. Didn't do one yesterday because 10 a.m. was pretty choppy in my opinion. 10 a.m. still delivered, but I hopped off once I saw the price action. Didn't really want to trade it and didn't really see a point in doing a recap because the AM session wasn't as nice as I thought it would be. So yeah, we'll go over today. I'll explain my two trades I took, and I wanted to so yeah, let's get right into it. So first of all, when I hopped on charts, I got on late today because I was out on my bike. Weather was nice, didn't expect much. Because it's Friday, we have little news today, so I think I hopped on like 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, something like that. So after 10 a.m. And then I saw we had this move lower, right, in this range. And you can see this fib and this gap right here, which is my two main confluences for this candle opening lower and then 10 a.m. Distributing to the upside. I know we have this unfilled gap, but it wasn't too big of a problem for me because yes, traded into it. We held it pretty much. You can see we have an SMT 2 with this low right here. So we do have an SMT right here. I'll just leave this one on the chart, and then we expand it into all-time highs, and the same goes for ES, right? They said we would target those highs at some point. Today was the day. They actually delivered at 7 a.m., so that's a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. And then the market started to retrace lower, right? So when I hopped on, it was around this time, around up here. I saw we had this, and then 10 a.m. it opened lower into this 1 minute range and delivered pretty well. This already looked good in my opinion to take. So some of you took this, like entry trigger down here and TP at these highs was a pretty nice trade. I also think this one was pretty good, right? This one got edged though. And this one you would be stopped out, which is a bit unfortunate. But yeah, that's just how it goes sometimes, right? Yes, swept it too. You can see yes, retrace back to this rejection block and use this as engineered liquidity for this one. This one failed. Same goes for this. This one failed, but you could have always taken a loss here and then re-entered at this, although you would have gotten edged. So let's get into the trade I took. So the first trade I took was actually, I'll delete this one, I'll put it up later. The first one I took was actually this trade right here. Right, so this is technically DRB, but once this closed bullish, that's my confirmation for 10 a.m. and the fib, right? And you also have this RB to the left, which we perfectly tap with this one, right? So you have one RB here, you have 10 a.m., you have the fib, and you have this tiny, tiny sweep, which for me isn't great. So I would still count this as like equal highs and expect price to revisit. And I'll have this one marked too. So yeah, this was the first one. I took my entry at this candle and had my stop at the low. And then I had my TP up here somewhere. I think I aimed for like a 1 to 5. Or technically also this, but I didn't want to hold like too much on a Friday. I didn't think we would expand like this. Pretty nice delivery too. So yeah, this was the first trade, and then I went break even at this internal high because this is like the beginning of the 3-minute gap, tiny 3-minute gap down here or like up here, and I didn't want to risk for price to retrace off this high, so I went break even after this, and I could stop the break even down here. You can see the executions in the Discord posted in my channel. I was still pretty sure we would see these highs up here, so I just went for the next rejection block we get, and you can see we pretty much reject OTE down here, and we do have like this rejection block which we left before, right? On ES it gave me a bit more confidence because you have this big wick down here which is also a rejection block. You can see this is engineered liquidity, and then ES traded lower into it. We also have this old end dog that acts as support. And what I did was I pretty much entered with a limit at this RB, stop at the low, which was like 8 points, a little bit more than 8 points, because I always give it like a tick more in case it makes equal lows or stuff like that. And then I aimed for a fixed 50-point TP in this case. I didn't want to bother to stay in the trade for too long, so it's like a 1-6, right? You can see we have this tiny volume imbalance up here, and that's pretty much, I TP'd a bit early, like a bit before that. You can check the executions in my channel. And yeah, so price delivered. Once we expanded on this candle right here, you can see we made an SMT with ES on this one. So pretty much once ES swept the high and then Q tapped like 10 a.m. so around 0.5 here, I moved break even because I didn't want to get stopped because of this SMT. Maybe the draw was still lower and I was wrong on the trade, but I didn't want to take a loss. So I moved break even, and then you can see price actually retraced, still respecting the SMT. And you can see we retrace into this order block down here, CSD, whatever you want to call it. You have this tiny gap, and you do also have a pretty good looking gap combined with 10 a.m. on ES. All right. I'll delete this too. So if you want to add another confluence, you can use this fib right here. And I knew I was protected by OTE at this point. So if the trade failed, OTE would have failed, I would be stopped. But if OTE held and the order block held and the gap held, same goes for ES, I would be rewarded by hitting TP, right? And then you can see we tapped the gap, we tapped the order block, and pretty huge expansion that triggered my TP. Also, ES had this high, and this high, which was pretty good targets, and that's where I closed, or like my limit hit. Also making another SMT, so I didn't really want to bother holding into this external draw because of this SMT also. So everything you need, like a 1-6, a couple minutes of delivery, and yeah, that's pretty much the reasons behind my trade. I trusted this RB down here again. Like I expected this one to hold. You can see the difference. This isn't as clean because the RB is this candle and this one closes bullish, so you have 3 stacked lows, which isn't great. This one makes a really nice RB. Also goes to CE, but in this case, I would always like limit the top because of risk. The risk to reward is already great if you limit the top, and I don't want to be left out just trying to save 4 more points. And yeah, you can see that even if the first time you get stopped out and you're wrong on the trade itself, I trusted my draw, I trusted my bias, I trusted everything I had as my analysis, and you pretty much get rewarded for it if you stick to it, right? So taking a break even first, or maybe even taking a loss here isn't too bad if you can manage to re-enter the trade and then hit TP. But yeah, that being said, I think that's pretty much everything for the trade itself. If you feel like something is missing or isn't explained as well as it should be, make sure to tag me in the questions channel. Not sure when I'll be able to get back because it's Friday. We're gonna have the weekend ahead, so I don't want to be on Discord too much, but I'll make sure to get back to everyone and answer the questions you guys have. Hope you had a good trading day as well, and I wish all of you a pretty nice weekend, and I'll catch up next week with you guys, and we'll hope the week actually delivers a bit better, because this week was pretty slow, although every single day was pretty much the same setup, like 10 a.m. expansion to the upside. Pretty easy to read in my opinion. A little bit harder to execute on because of the range. Like a pretty tight range this week. If you go back, let me see the 50-minute, you can see we chopped in the NWOG, we closed above it. I told you guys we would act, the NWOG would act as support, and if I remember correctly, on Tuesday I said this week looks like an open low high close to me, which is exactly what we got, right? NWOG open lower, this trading day traded lower, and then we pretty much got the expansion. So hope it makes sense for you guys. Hope you learned something. And yeah, like I said, wish you a nice weekend, and I'll catch up with you guys next week. Bye-bye.